That's bring me to next question. How do you summarize the need for digital transformation in nowadays?
How do I see the need for digital information?
And how would you summarize that?
How would I
Summarize
the need? Oh, it's essential. I mean, okay, so let me put it this way. Surveys have said that 80% of managers make decisions based upon their gut feeling, their experience. They've done it before and therefore they know the right decision. And that means that 80% of them are not being very sensible, because the information is out there, the data is out there to enable them to make more informed and intelligent decisions, which are much more likely to be the right decision, because their experience and their gut feeling may be based upon something which is not similar. Maybe it's similar, but it's not the same as what we're experiencing today. So having the right information is absolutely critical for making the right decision. And that applies whether it's risk management, that applies whether it's internal audit, that applies whether it's just running their business day to day. You need that data, you need that information. Even things like, okay, let me give you another example. So one of my teams was using analytics to identify duplicate payments. And they used this analytics and they came back with a great success. They had found over $1 million in duplicate payments. And I was very excited because that was a lot, at that time, that was a lot of money. So I went to the CFO but I couldn't get his attention, because even though $1 million was a lot of money, and in fact, the profit margin was very low, very lean, so $1 million was a lot of money, he had so many other things on his mind which I didn't know about. And so my decision in terms of how I presented to him was not a very good decision. I should have waited until that crisis was past before going to him. But the more information you have, the more effective you can be. Whether it be information about risk, whether it be information about who's responsible for what, where their priorities are, it's really critical. And again, knowing what the trends are in the business, things like where do people spend their time? That's information that helps you understand how you can do your job better. So anytime we can do that, and that then comes back down to another challenge, which is that artificial intelligence and analytics in general, whether it be text analytics or numerical analytics, relies upon the information being digital. And so that's going to be a challenge going forward, which is that how do you get the information in digital form? Sometimes in the past it's been handwritten, sometimes it's just word of mouth, whatever it is. But if you really want to analyze it, because that's a good way of running the business, now you've got to figure out how you're going to digitize it. And this is where perhaps some software programs which will actually collect risk information or other kind of information and summarize it will enable you to then analyze it and see the trends. But the analytics, the AI relies upon information being digital. And until we have AI which will go out and actually talk to people and interrogate them that way to get the information, it needs to be digital somehow.
And here we need experienced internal audit. So for them to pass the inputs correctly and with more correct information to avoid the research. This is
another challenge. So one of the things I did over my 20 years of running internal audit, which is very different from many other companies, is that I only hired experienced people. I wanted people who had the experience and the knowledge to understand what was happening and then work with management to determine whether something needed to be changed, and if so, what. I didn't hire people to do what we used to call grunt work. Go through and tick and tie and do calculations, compare this and compare that. I wanted people who could use their judgment. Now, the need for that kind of person, the entry-level internal auditor, could be going away, because that kind of work can be done now by AI, by technology. And you will need more people who have the experience and the insight and the judgment capabilities and the willingness to use their judgment to take the data and, in the words of my old company, Business Objects, turn the data into insight, into useful, valuable information. And that requires judgment and experience and that you won't get that up with 1 year or 2 years of experience. You get that after working and being allowed to use your judgment for several years. So you may find internal audit profession, the first level, the entry level internal auditor, that need may be diminishing significantly or changing entirely.
Okay, so your advice to the beginners or juniors in this field will be?
For people who are looking to enter the profession, they should probably start taking out some computer science education, because maybe their best role is going to be actually writing the analytics and delivering the tools to the more experienced people, and then learning from the more experienced people what they're doing with that information. But the old tick and tie junior internal auditor, that may be going away. And for the head of internal audit, it's another thing I just wrote about, which is that sometimes internal audit leaders, they take the staffing model and say, these are the people I have, now what audits can I do? One way round. These are the audits I need to do, now what people do I need? And what tools and technology can I use to do this better? So the audit plan, which is based upon the more significant risks, should drive the staffing model, not the other way around.